What if a prominent political figure suggested that a significant portion of the population should be re-educated or deprogrammed? Sounds unthinkable, right? Yet, that's precisely the provocative proposition that former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton put forth during a recent interview. Clinton compared supporters of former President Donald Trump to members of a cult and suggested they need to be deprogrammed. The statement sparked a torrent of outrage from conservatives who took it as a direct assault on their freedom of thought and expression. The controversy was further fueled by the Trump campaign's swift exploitation of Clinton's statement, framing it as evidence of conspiratorial persecution of Trump supporters. This fiery exchange ignited a fierce debate, with some arguing that Clinton's comments were an attack on democracy itself, while others maintained that she was merely highlighting the dangers of supposed extremist ideologies. So what exactly did Hillary Clinton mean, and how do her comments resonate with the concept of re-education camps? Let's delve deeper. Re-education camps have a dark history associated with oppressive regimes and human rights abuses. These camps have been used by various governments, predominantly in communist regimes, as a tool to suppress dissent, indoctrinate citizens with state-approved ideology, and stamp out any perceived threats to the established order. In the mid-20th century, re-education camps were a prominent feature of Mao's China. Dubbed Laogai, or reform through labor, these camps subjected inmates to grueling physical labor, psychological manipulation, and brutal punishments. The goal was to break down individual beliefs and reshape them into the image of the state's ideology. Similarly, in Vietnam, after the fall of Saigon, the communist government established re-education camps to detain and reprogram those affiliated with the former South Vietnamese government and military. The conditions were harsh, marked by severe food shortages, forced labor, and inhumane treatment. In North Korea, political prison camps known as Kwan Lee So continue to exist today. There, individuals deemed disloyal to the regime, along with their families, are subjected to a life of forced labor, starvation, and torture. These camps, in their various forms, were designed to force ideological conformity through fear, punishment, and relentless indoctrination. They stripped individuals of their freedom of thought, their dignity, and in many cases, their lives. So, when we talk about re-education camps, we are treading on the painful memories and harsh realities of those who have lived through these experiences. But let us return to the proposition at hand. Would Hillary Clinton's proposed reprogramming of Trump supporters, if it were to take the form of re-education camps, bear any resemblance to these dark chapters of history? These camps were designed to force ideological conformity. But would Hillary Clinton's camps, if they were to exist, mirror these historical atrocities? This is a question that calls for deep reflection and, more importantly, vigilance in safeguarding the principles of free thought and democratic discourse. It's hard to imagine what Hillary Clinton's deprogramming camps might look like, but let's consider the possibilities. Given her political leanings, Clinton's camps could be places designed to encourage a shift in ideology. This could be achieved through education or other methods aimed at altering one's worldview. We could see a strong emphasis on liberal values, diversity, climate change, and social justice, all cornerstones of the Democratic platform. However, the idea of fundamentally changing one's beliefs raises serious questions about civil liberties and democratic values. Freedom of thought, opinion, and expression are fundamental rights in any democratic society. These camps could potentially infringe upon these rights, creating a slippery slope towards a society where divergent beliefs are suppressed. Could these camps be used to silence opposition? The notion is troubling, as it suggests a willingness to suppress dissenting voices rather than engage in healthy political discourse. It's a tactic that's been used by authoritarian regimes, not democratic ones. Moreover, how would these camps operate? Would attendance be voluntary or mandatory? How would they determine who needs deprogramming? These are all pertinent questions that can't be ignored. Even if we assume the best-case scenario, where these camps are voluntary spaces for education and dialogue, we must still address the issue of bias. Who would design the curriculum? Who would decide what beliefs are correct? The potential for manipulation and indoctrination is significant. While it's all speculative, the suggestion itself is concerning. But is the other side of the political aisle any different? If MAGA supporters are termed as cultists, could we then argue that the Democrats, with their own set of steadfast beliefs, are also cultists? Politics has always been a realm of passionate beliefs and fierce loyalties. But when does the passion cross over into cultism? And if we're applying this lens to the MAGA movement, shouldn't we also apply it to the Democrats? Cultism, in its simplest form, is an unwavering, unquestioning devotion to a particular ideology or person. It's characterized by an us versus them mentality where anyone outside the group is viewed as the other, a potential threat. This can lead to a dangerous echo chamber where dissenting views are not only ignored, but actually validified. But what are the potential dangers of such divisive political labeling? Well, for one, it further polarizes our society. It creates a world where dialogue and compromise become increasingly difficult, if not impossible. It fosters a climate where the other side is not just seen as wrong, but as an enemy to be defeated at all costs. And there's another danger. It allows for the dehumanization of the opposition. Once you label someone as a cultist, it becomes easier to justify threatening them as less than human, as someone who needs to be reprogrammed or deprogrammed. This is a slippery slope that can lead to some very dark places. So, if we're going to label MAGA supporters as cultists, we must be prepared to apply the same label to Democrats with their own set of steadfast beliefs. Because at the end of the day, political cultism is not a partisan issue. It's a human issue. Labeling political opposition as cultists is a dangerous game. Could such divisive rhetoric and proposals for deprogramming be a step towards civil unrest or even a civil war? Political division is not a new phenomenon. Throughout history, nations have grappled with ideological differences, and the United States is no exception. However, the proposal to deprogram a particular group of political supporters is unprecedented and may threaten our national unity and social cohesion. When we start to view our political opposition not as fellow citizens with differing viewpoints, but as cult members who need deprogramming, we tread on dangerous ground. This kind of rhetoric dehumanizes and marginalizes those who hold different political beliefs, creating an us versus them mentality that is the antithesis of a unified functioning society. It's essential to understand that political beliefs are not inherently dangerous. They are simply different perspectives on how to achieve a common goal, a prosperous and just society. When we label these varying perspectives as a cult that needs deprogramming, we risk escalating potential tensions to a point of potential civil unrest. This diverse rhetoric does more than just widen the political divide, it undermines the very fabric of our democracy. It stifles healthy debate, discourages compromise, and fosters hostility. In extreme cases, it can even lead to violence as citizens begin to see each other as not compatriots, but as enemies. Does this mean we're on the brink of a civil war? Not necessarily. But it does mean we're moving further away from civil disclosure and mutual respect, and closer towards a society divided by hate and intolerance. While the idea of a civil war might seem far-fetched, the divisive rhetoric and intolerance for differing political views should give us pause. We must strive for understanding, respect, and unity, for it's these principles that have allowed our nation to prosper, even in the face of adversity. We can and must do better. What we've discussed today is no light matter. We've delved into the controversial comments made by Hillary Clinton, the idea of re-education camps, and the potential parallels to historical instances of such camps in communist regimes. We've explored what Clinton's hypothetical camps might look like and questioned whether the notion of cultism applies not just to MAGA supporters, but also to Democrats themselves. We've also pondered over the implications of such divisive rhetoric on our society, and how it might even be a stepping stone towards civil unrest or civil war. It's important to remember that these are not simple issues, nor are they to be taken lightly. They challenge the very core of our democratic values and the respect we owe to differing political ideologies. These discussions remind us of the importance of respectful political discourse. They highlight the potential dangers of dehumanizing rhetoric and the concept of reprogramming or re-educating individuals based on their political beliefs. It's crucial that we maintain respectful political discourse and safeguard our democratic values, for the alternative is a path none of us should wish to tread.